What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Mercury's Mind. I am your host, Mercury. Today, we'll be doing the Taurus installation to my mini zodiac series. All right, let's get it. Taurus, what's going on, man? My hedonistic, pleasure-seeking bulls, cows, ox, all things that are supple and rich in nutrients. The ruling planet Venus actually rules two signs, Taurus and Libra. Today we'll be focusing on Taurus. Now the Taurus side, well, let's talk about Venus a little bit. Venus is a planet of beauty, of artistry, of receptivity. It's a fertile planet. It's a planet that rules how you relate to things, not just relationships with people, but your relationship with everything. And that's more on the Libra side. I'll cover that in the Libra video. And this video, the side of Venus that will really be talked about is your value system. Venus, the Taurus part of Venus is very big on the value system, because in the wheel, the house wheel, Taurus is the second house, which has everything to do with your value system. So Venus ruling the second house, which is your value system, in the seventh house, which is how you relate to things, tells you a lot about the nature of Venus in itself. Venus is everything about how you relate to everything, not just relationship. And whatever you deem important will determine how you relate to things, right? So when we start talking about Taurus, we can talk about, now in Vedic astrology, Rohini is a nakshatra that falls in the Taurus constellation. Rohini is the seed of the moon. So Taurus, the energy is Taurus, the zodiac sign, has moon and Venus energy intertwined into it. The way I like to think of it is moon rules vegetation, right? Taurus is the soil that you plant your seeds in. Moon shines on the soil, gives it the nurturance and nourishment it needs, and as well as the sun. And in turn, the soil then feeds that seed until it sprouts through. So Taurus is the soil that grows something. If you want a garden, what do you need? You need the good fertilization, the good soil, the good bed. You know, when I think of Taurus, I think of digging your hand into the earth and just pulling out a bunch of dirt. You know that mineral and nutrient-rich soil that you just pull up, that dampened earth that just gets in your fingernails and has that earthy smell, that's Taurus. That very rich in vitamins and nourishment. So that's Taurus, right? Now that can kind of give you an idea of Taurus's nature. Tauruses naturally are people, is a sign that is about grooming, nurturing something, because it is earth sign and it's fixed. So it's like taking something in and like maintaining it, growing it, flourishing it until it can get up on its own. A lot of times you'll see Tauruses be support systems for not just themselves but other people, because that Scorpio opposition. And it's because of that nature. They have a very strong Cancerian nature mixed into them. Cancer and Taurus got very, very close ties. The moon and Venus have very close ties. They're both artistic planets as well. They're both planets that can give off like a maternal energy in terms of nourishment, nurturance, giving you what you need to feel, to boost and encourage you to develop your self-worth. Because the second house, Taurus, second house, is not just about your value system, like your material. It is the second house is like mine, what I have, my value system, it's also the house of oratory speech. It's also the house of monetary skills, meaning skills and things you do and you monetize them. Whereas third house might be skills that you just learn, maybe because you're just interested and curious. But second house are like the skills and talents that you use specifically for monetization. So when we talk about Taurus, a lot of these Taurus people are gonna have their bread. They're gonna have their bread. Why? Because they got Scorpio opposition, and that eighth house, the second house is my resources, my value. Eighth house is our resources, our value system. And a cool way to look at that is the seventh house is the house that rules death. It's the house of the sunset. It's also the house of marriage. So there's the death of the first house, which is you, the ego, and then there's we. There's the death of me, and then we. So the second house from the seventh is the eighth house. So if the second house is my resources, then the eighth house is our resources. So Tauruses might be a bit more lean towards like mine, not wanting to share as much, depending on what expression is being expressed from this sign, like the evolution of the soul. But for the most part, Tauruses can easily not want to share. They can easily be like, no, I got this for me and I want to indulge in it for myself. You can't be mad at it because they got it themselves. They work for it. They determine what is valuable to them. They like to buy things that are luxurious. They like luxurious things. They like things that are beautiful. And they like to spoil themselves because, like I said, Moon exalts in Taurus. Not only do Taurus like to spoil themselves, they get spoiled by others. Other people, especially, you'll notice with a Moon in Taurus sign, people want to spoil them. People want to spoil them, for sure. Like, no reasons. They want to spoil them, but they also want to get spoiled off of them. They want to overindulge in them, because just their energy alone is it's Moon and Taurus. So they're like, I can't get enough of you. Moon and Taurus gives Soma, the nectar, the Amrit that came from the churning of the ocean. So people like to overindulge and become drunk off of them at times as well. And one thing I've noticed is like Taurus natives in particular can be taught. They can be their karmas here is about creating your own value system. It's really about being a bit less codependent on others materially and having your own things, because like I said, that Scorpio opposition. But you can find with Taurus natives that some people want to keep them dependent on them, especially material, because they know that nature. They know the power of that Taurian individual, and they know if they start becoming more independent with that, they'll never be able. They're like, well, now I can't keep this all for myself. So Taurus and Scorpios both are two signs that people like to keep dependent on them because of their power, because of their nature, because of what they bring. They always know. When people want you dependent, they know what you bring. They just don't want you to be aware that you know what you bring, because then you won't need them. So a lot of times Taurians can have people around them that can spoil them purposefully, so they never know that they can go get it themselves. And a lot of times Tauruses can get spoiled and just stay somewhere and become codependent cognizantly. They might choose it. Why? Because they're comfortable and they don't care. They're like, shit, well, I'm comfortable here and I deserve a life of luxury and relaxation, which is very true. But you can have those things without being dependent on something outside. You don't have to dub him. And nothing wrong with like receiving help and receiving gifts, but you don't want to be reliant upon them, especially if you're a Taurus native. Now, Tauruses, their ultimate journey is about understanding you don't reap the flowers, you don't get the abundant harvest, you don't get the cornucopia the day you plant the seed. It's about pace. It's about knowing how much to water what, knowing when you've watered it enough and to let it just work on its own timing, knowing when you haven't watered it at all and you need to tend to your foundation, you need to tend to the soil. People love to just pay attention to the flowers, and all the things that start sprouting, but you always need to pay attention to the soil that you planted it in, and you always need to be tending to that, because you could have something attacking it from the soil. Your foundation could be under attack or be compromised, so you need to look there as well. Now, Taurus people naturally, Taurus don't really care to stick out too much. They just want to do what they want to do because it's Venus. Venus wants to do what Venus wants to do. Venus doesn't like doing things that Venus doesn't want to do because Venus is relaxation, it's beauty. It's like, no, I know that I deserve this to happen to me, so it's gonna happen. That's why Moon exalts in Taurus. It's very receptive energy. It's not like going out and doing things. It's like, I want this, that. What exalts in Pisces? You know what I'm saying? Venus. So it's like, I just want to sit back under this tree, in this shade, and bask in my elegance and visualize everything I want, and it'll come right to me. They prefer to be, more intimate, more laid back, more private, more just lax. Taurus is not, you're not going to see Taurus is just out on the scene unless, you got to look at the whole chart. But the thing is, they have Leo on the 4th. Now, the 4th house is a water house. It's also a house ruled by Cancer. 4th house is also your home. It's also your inner world. So Leo there, which is the sun, and it's a bunch of light. What Leo does is take private matters, and whether it's up to the Taurus native or not, it kind of makes them a bit more known. So an example is like, you're a Taurus, you go back to the crib, you're wanting to chill. You're wanting to go back and chill. You have Leo on the 4th, you're probably going back to the house to do something creative. You're probably going back to the house with kids. Leo on the 4th, already, that adds on to Taurus' extremely fertile nature. Leo on the 4th, Taurus natives probably, they're going to have kids. They don't have kids, they're going to have something that they can take care of and pour into. Leo on the 4th. If they don't have kids, then they'll be at the crib, inner child just on fleek, inner child just having a blast, plenty of creativity to last for days. There's no shortage, there's no scarcity when it comes to self-expression and creativity and artistic pursuits. But Leo in the 4th house can bring a bit more intention than you would like to your private matters, because Leo is the sun. So wherever Leo's at in your chart is where you shine, whether you want to or not. You can't control it. So Taurus shine in their 4th house. People might want to come to Taurus house, like, oh, your house is so this, your house is so that. Oh man, I just love being here. Oh wow, you did this around your house. Taurus natives are the type of people that have a bunch of their creative projects just all around their crib, or maybe their crib is a creative project, and they put a lot of their creativity on display through their house and the aesthetic of their house. And people want to be over there a lot. People want to be around them. And then we have Scorpio on the 7th. So this tells you about one, about the tug of war of independence and codependence, like mine versus ours, that Taurus natives go throughout life. It also tells you about their constant transformation, their nature, because they're soil. They're constantly planting a seed, growing, germinating, nourishing the seed, then something plants up. Then it happening again, and it happening again. So you can think of that as a rebirth process. And then on top of that, Venus, the planet, is a planet that undergoes rebirth as well. It goes to the underworld. It's an evening star, then it goes to the underworld, becomes a morning star. So Venus, the planet alone, rules rebirth as well. Not to mention, in Vedic astrology, Venus was the guru to the Asuras, which was the demon clan. So that'll give you, Taurus natives are always kind of finding people or attracting people that are highly cataclysmic, especially to their life, because like I said, Taurus is like what's comfortable, and a lot of times what's comfortable is what's predictable. But that that Scorpio 7th house is like, nah, don't get too comfortable, you know what I'm saying? Don't get too comfortable. I ain't gonna let you, because what you really want, you want what you want, right? When you want the things you want, you're gonna have to grow to get them. You can't get everything you want by staying the same. That's what Scorpio on the 7th helps Taurus natives do, is get what they want by being uncomfortable. You gotta be uncomfortable The thing is, it's not about not ever being in your comfort zone. There's nothing wrong with your comfort zone, but if you want something that's outside of it, you'll have to step outside of that comfort zone to go get that thing you want. But once you get it, you can make it your comfort zone. There's nothing wrong with being in a comfort zone. That's being in the comfort zone is like being in the zone. Only time it becomes a problem is when being in your comfort zone is hindering you from getting what you want. You want something that's outside your comfort zone. What do you have to do? You have to step out of your comfort zone. Again, that's what that Scorpio 7th house kind of teaches them. And we get to the 10th house, and the 10th house is Aquarius. Aquarius is a sign of many things. People call it eccentric. It's lightning, so it feels like it happens like that, very sudden, like. So the way I look at it, with the Leo 4th, and then Aquarius 10 and Taurus rising. So these people are constantly on that seesaw of like comfort and then uncomfortable, very comfortable, to get all because I want to get what I want, right? Get what I want. And then we have Leo on the 4th. So they're in the world. They're extremely creative. They're extremely fertile, like I said. And they have tons of ways they like to express themselves, but they might keep it to themselves. It's not that they're shy. They might just keep it for themselves. But then you put that Aquarius in the 10th house, so every now and then you just get a strike of lightning. They're just like, boom. You're like, where did that come from? This person, all that Leo 4th house, the way I look at it is like 4th house is the seed, the 10th house is like the tree. So it's like all of a sudden, boom, like all this creativity and like self-expression just shoots out. And because the 10th house is what everybody can see. 4th house is what people don't see, only you see. So then they just see that and they're like, where did that come from? Another thing is like that seed you planted and you nourished in the 4th house, it shoots out in the 10th. So, and it seems like it's sudden. Aquarius is really that overnight shit, because it appears to be sudden, but what rules Aquarius? Saturn. There's nothing sudden about Saturn. So it appears that it's sudden, but it's not. That seed has been tended to for a while, and it's gotten everything is needed. Then it just shoots up, and not only does it shoot up and shoot out, it shoots out fully ready and mature and ready to go. It's not no premature. It's not like it comes out the soil and you have to do that. It comes out the soil like, here I am. That's Taurus natives. But you would never know because they have a Leo 4th house, so they don't, they keep their shine. It's not like they have to dim it. They just naturally keep it more in here. They don't have anything to prove. They don't really show it. But every now and then they'll give you flashes of it. And another way to back that is Aquarius and the 10th. Aquarians have nothing to prove. Aquarians do not move around trying to prove anything because they don't even live in the social constructs that most live in. Because the 10th house can definitely be social construct. Aquarius don't even live in that. It's not about rebellion. That's how I look at Aquarius. It's not rebellion because Aquarian natives are not thinking like, how can I be different? Aquarians are like, that's cute. If y'all want to do that, that's cool. But do not try and put me in it. The second you try and put me in it, I'm going to tear it down. I'm going to... Tower card. What does a tower card have? A lightning strikes and then everything. Yeah, that's Aquarius. So Aquarius on the 10th house is like, you try and put a Taurus... You try and put Tauruses in any type of construct, it's just not going to work. They're going to have that lightning effect of just like, boom, all of a sudden they're like, whoa, this person is a whole nother person. They're showing all these different talents we had no idea about. It's always been there. They just have no need to parade it around. They'd rather keep it for themselves and their own likings and behind their own privately quarters. So that is Taurus. Taurus is a life of pace. It teaches you that the day you plant the seed, you don't reap the fruit. But it teaches you, if you plant that seed it teaches you where you plant your seed is everything. The soil, if you prep that soil, if you tend to the soil, that will determine your cornucopia. That will determine what you reap. It's not just like going and picking your favorite seed. What's the soil like? What's your land like? How do you treat your land? Moon is like the moonlight. Moon is moonlight. It still shows light. You see anytime the moon is waxing and then it's a full moon and like a day or two after, there's actual moonlight. You have a shadow from the moon. So the moon still gives off light. It's a cooler light though, which is why it rules vegetation. The sun in the summer can dry out plenty of plants, but plants also receive light from the sun and life force and vitality, but it can also burn the plants too. The moon is way cooler, you know what I'm saying? So the moonlight tends to the earth, to the soil, to the land. Taurus is about tending to your land before you plant your seeds. It's understanding that the seed is like your soul. Wherever you place your soul, the only difference between soul and soil is I and you. So where you place your soul and where you place your seed in the soil will determine how well it'll receive what it needs to shoot up and do what it needs to do. So again, that's the life of Taurus, all right? That concludes this Taurus installation to my mini zodiac series. If you like this video, like, subscribe. If you enjoy this, let's all learn each other something. Leave a comment if anything resonated, you just wanted to share something, as long as it's not no hate, because you will get blocked today. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in to Mercury's Mind. I am your host, Mercury. Bye-bye.